Hello everyone, I'm Frank Buys from Belgium, a BVA judge and BVA vice president. I have lovebirds since 2005 and now I'm gonna introduce you to my little aviary. As you can see, it's closed now because here in Belgium it's winter, but don't expect too much. I'm just a hobbyist, not breed for any money or so, and I hope that you enjoy it. Please follow me. Here we come into the breeding room, and I will explain you later. First we're gonna do the flights here. You have a hall which you can enter the bird room very easily. Here you can see Ino birds, Lutino and split birds. They're having some rest now after breeding last year. I always breed couples split with mutation. Never two mutations on each other. I don't mix any mutations. I want to keep my birds very pure. So these, Lutino and split birds. Some cockatiels and budgies from my little son. He's 11. But I think you want to see the lovebirds. Here we have some fair birds. As you can see, deck blue and blue split deck. I have some misties here also. And I think a little, yes, deck birds also. Also spared birds, just taking some rest now. Here, green birds from last year. All pure green. Never put any mutation in my green line. Very important to have good green birds in your aviary. You never can breed good mutations without good green birds. You go to the next aviary. Here we have some two opalines. I don't breed a lot with opaline. Here the other opaline. And the rest is sex-linked grey wing in blue and green. I have these birds for breeding and doing some test pairing. Because it's a new mutation, it's very important to do some test breeding for good results. Now we're gonna enter another aviary. These are all my breeding green birds. There are also a lot of old birds, 2010, 12, 16. These are all breeding birds. Good clear neck, no red in the neck. That's very important. Here's some young birds from last year. Also a D blue split deck, Misty, and the rest is Splitino or split pale fallow birds. The green birds are split dino or split pale fallow. And there you have some young birds out of the sex-linked rearing line. That's my little son from 11. Now we're going to go into the breeding room. Breeding birds, pale fallow. Very beautiful pale fallow birds. Not too yellow. They have still some green on their body. And look at the beautiful split birds. It's very important. For me, split birds are more important than the mutation birds. The split birds have to be as a wild type. You have to put them on a show and then you can breed good mutations. Here's some young pale fallows from last year. Look at it, all perfect condition. Here, pure green, not the best for show, but these are breeding birds that I have from a friend. They are pure because more than over 20 years there was no mutation involved. Still from the line of Dirk van den Abele and some birds from a zoo in Israel, some import birds. So that's why they are, I know they are pure more than 20 years now. And I'm start breeding with them next year. As you can see, no show birds, but I think the most important is for breeding. Here, just breeding with 10 couples at this moment. I will have to show you. Come over. Deck green, young birds. And look at this. This is a split deck. Look at the neck. That's why I told you split birds are important in your aviary. They look as show birds. Don't have any red. I'm working 15 years now on this. Fantastic birds. Look at this. Young deck bird. Look how beautiful. Not too red on the back of the neck, very important. Normal colored feet. And maybe the most important, some blue on the rump. Not white, but blue. I have now, I think, 4 couples of deck birds breeding and 6 Latino. Always perfect green split bird on a mutation. Here some Latino birds, very difficult to breed with. Here you see a young Latino, already good size. Pink feet, not too dark, very important. Red eye, and as you can see, white rump. Not blue as in a deck bird, but a white rump. So, This is what I am breeding. Thanks for visiting my aviary, and I hope to see you one time maybe when I come to Pakistan, or you come to us to visit Belgium on the BVA show. Thanks everyone, and have a good time.
Okay, Frank. So let's formally start this. How did you come into this hobby, Frank?
Well, I've already bird since I was a year of 11, I guess.
Okay.
And then in my little town where I live is a little company, a little, how do you know, like BVA, a little community that has
Yes,
birds.
the society, right?
Society, yes. And as a little bird, I go to that society and I some other birds like finches and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And then, and meanwhile, I am a judge, president of that little society.
So
So it's
you
a
are
little community here in the town.
you are used to getting the president position and vice president's position of all the society. That's great.
I I don't know why, but everybody tells, okay, Frank, now you are president or vice president of
Yeah.
head of the judges. I don't know why, but
I can tell that because you are a helping person. I've seen this since quite a few days, the way you have been guiding me and the way you want to help all of us. So, obviously, that should be one of the biggest traits of the leaders of any society, specifically of this hobby.
maybe that is the reason. Yes, I like to help people, and for me, it's a fantastic hobby,
Yeah.
and I want to bring a lot of knowledge to everyone in the whole world. So maybe that is the reason. Yes.
So, do you get involved in research with Master Dirk and other people in BVA, or you are?
No, the main part is done by Dirk. He does all the research, dynetics, DNA, stuff like that, and he gives us that information. So the most important for us is to study
Yeah.
and to explain to breeders what is with mutations and DNA structures and stuff like that. Yes.
Okay. So, Frank, which bird was the first lovebird that you had? Was it the green, pure green?
Uh, yes, I started directly with the pure green fishery. Yes,
Yeah.
always I had some passionatas before and rosé collies, but the head of the all the birds were fisher, and now only have fisher birds, lovebirds. Yes.
Okay. Um, uh, for us over here, you need to explain what do you mean by pure green. Usually, the breeders over here maybe they don't understand. Even I never had an idea before I met Alex. Well, we talked about him as well. The way he beautifully breeds them and takes care of them. And I saw your showbirds and your breeding stock as well. It was so beautiful. So I want you to explain it to everybody else about the pure green.
If I talk about pure green, it's not just the color green.
Yeah.
For me, the most important is that there is no mutation involved in that breeding line of pure green for at least 20 or 25 years.
Okay.
So pure green for me cannot be the best show bird. It doesn't need to be, but it's the most important bird in my aviary because there is a mutation. I always pair it with a pure green, and that is the most important. No involvements of other mutations, so that you have a pure basic green line to work on your mutations. That is the most important.
Okay. And usually I come across European breeders who understand what is pure green, right?
Yes.
By the looks of a bird, they would say this is a hybrid, this is a pure green. So, how do you, for me being a novice in this field, could you please explain it further? What sort of markers do you look at to see and decide whether it is pure green or not?
Cool.
I think the most important is the color of the head. That
Okay.
is really the most, the bronze green, as we talk about our standards. That is the most important issue.
Okay.
Of course, you have birds that are of a good green line, but still have a little bit of red in the neck.
Okay.
I won't talk about hybrids because I'm breeding it now for over more than 20 years, and I see that in pure lines also can be a little bit of red in the neck. It's
Okay.
possible. It's a natural, but for show, you must eliminate that color. You need to have a good bronze green, and you have to compare. You have to make combinations, a darker bird with a brighter bird. So it's difficult, but yeah, still a lot of work on it.
And yesterday when we were discussing the pure green, you talked a little a bit about the yellow color on the
Yes,
neck
on the chest.
part. So can you tell my audience as well what?
Yes. If you look in birds in nature in Africa, where they live, Tanzania,
Yeah.
you see that the birds are orange on the front of the head, and
Yes.
then you have on the chest a
Yeah.
little yellow line.
Okay.
Now that's important because in the past breeders were breeding birds with the most intensive heads,
Okay.
and then the yellow disappeared. You had no yellow here, but if you have birds with a lot of intensive color in the head, then you get problems on the back of your head because
Okay.
the red goes to there, the umelanin. We call that umelanin.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now I prefer birds. For me, the standard to say, okay, you have a good orange, then the green. But if they have a little bit of yellow and the neck is perfect, I prefer that bird.
Okay. Okay. Uh, how long have you been struggling to get hold of pure green? You talked about in your video, the one that you shared with me and which I will share within this interview with the audiences as well, that you got hold of birds from a zoo in Israel and then some from Tanzania as well. So can you talk about that as well, please?
Yes, it's still becoming difficult to have good pure greens.
Yeah.
Uh, you have to rely on other breeders that have a good documentation. So the birds I have now in my aviary that I can call pure
Yeah.
is birds that are I have documents of 20 years ago, and there's no other mutation in it. So I have birds from Dirk van den Abelen.
Yeah.
So he can confirm me there were no. He only had green birds in his aviary in the years 1995,
Phew.
and then you have the birds from the zoo in Israel
Yeah.
that were birds that were from wild catch in Africa. So
Okay.
now they don't live anymore, the wild catch, but they were breeding in the zoo, and the offspring of that birds are now here in my aviary. So
Okay.
we have to rely on documents of the breeders and stuff like that. Yes.
And you've also mentioned that pure greens should be mixed with other mutations, but those for the better quality of those mutations, not for the pure green.
No.
Completely agree. Completely
Yes.
agree with you. So, do you think, as other breeders also say this, that whenever you add in greens with other mutations, the size increases, the quality increases? How does that help? If you could.
Well, I don't think the size you have to compromise. The size I don't think you get out of the pure green birds.
Okay.
You have to get size from show birds, as I call that.
Yeah.
That's important to have those birds to increase your size.
Yeah.
But the first step I always do is when I have a combination of with a mutation, I take some pure, and
Okay.
then you know, okay, this is my mutation, and this is how it looks like. So you don't, there's no involvement of other mutation. You have not a combination of two umelanin mutations. It's
Yeah.
not possible anymore. So if the birds are pure, you know the split birds or the mutation birds are good birds.
Okay. And yesterday you were talking about I have seen some beautiful pale fellows in your aviary. Beautiful. You mentioned that, uh, apart from the pale fellows, before that, you told me that, one mutation should not have the same mutation for breeding. You always rely on splits for it.
Yes, yes.
So,
I always,
yeah, yeah.
yes. Uh, I do that, and I don't think a lot of breeders do that.
Okay.
But you have pure birds with mutation.
Yeah.
The offspring is split birds.
Yeah.
Yes, I keep those split birds.
Okay.
That are the most valuable birds for me. Those split
Okay.
birds. If I make a combination split with mutation,
Yeah, yeah.
you get colored birds, mutation birds, and also split birds.
Yeah.
But those split birds I never use. I
Okay.
sell them
Okay.
because they come from a split bird with a mutation. It's something to think about. I always use split birds from pure with mutation,
Okay.
but never the split birds from split with mutation. It's a
Okay.
little, yes,
Yeah, 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 I'm getting your point that, the more it gets distant from its pure mutation, so it would lose its quality as well. If
yes. I think there's a little decline of the qualities of the mutation. Yes, and I am proud of it. If you come into my aviary, and I can tell you, my split birds, they look like pure or showbird.
yeah,
There's no decline of. When I was younger, they say, oh, it doesn't look like a very good bird, but it is split bird. So that's normal. No,
okay,
that's really not normal. A split bird should be as good as a normal pure green bird.
yeah, 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 yeah. Have you? I think one of my audiences asked me a question that I would ask you. Usually, we see over here while breeding oplines,
Yes.
they would have some masking on their cheeks or on their heads, even if you get top quality pair together. So why is that, and how can we prevent that if it is at all preventable?
I don't think it's all of preventable because if
Okay.
you look at the Rosicolis opaline,
Yeah, yeah.
you also have a little bit of gray in the mask.
Yes. Yes.
And it's a characteristic of opaline,
Okay.
the little gray. So when you have a Fisher lovebirds or Personatus and opaline, and you have a little bit of gray brownish shine,
Yeah.
it, it doesn't have to be a problem.
Okay.
But for show, we ask the most clear heads.
Okay.
You see, there's
Yeah.
still a lot of difference between a breeding bird or a show bird, or but it's not because it has a little bit of gray brown in the head that it is a bad bird. But you have to, by selection, make it less.
Okay.
And not every bird is a show bird, of course.
Of course. How do you make it less? That is my question. That would I would ask you this question now. If, for example, I have a bird that has some masking, how do I breed it so that the next generations would not have the same masking? What should I do? In uplines, obviously.
I think the most important is to use the birds, I guess, that are not the most intense of masking
Okay.
uh, in green. It is if you pair a split green male,
Okay.
sorry, split upline male
Okay.
for upline with a good wild type female, then you get less masking, brown shine on the mask. But I think it's difficult. In one nest, you can have birds with that brownish shine, or with very clear heads. So
Exactly.
yeah,
That is what I had in my nest, one of the nests that I have for parblue Ewing upline with parblue split upline. And two of the birds have amazing clear head, and one of them have a slight kind of a shadow on its cheek, which people are
yeah,
saying that it would clear after molt, after first or second
that's
molt.
possible. That's possible. Yes,
But
and
I'm not sure. But as you said, yes, mainly you would have a mix of birds in
yes,
one nest.
of course. And believe me,
Yeah.
like if we call top breeders, if it exists, never show you the bad birds. They will always show.
That is my observation as well. Whenever I see a bird with clear, I'm talking about oplines in specific, and
Yeah, yeah.
blue oplines or green or whatsoever, or proud blue, or so they would show you exquisite, birds. You as if they won't have
Yeah,
any masking at all,
yeah,
but everybody does have that. If they admit it or not, that is something else.
yes, of course. But believe me, if you see pictures, there not all of that birds are like that. Believe
Yeah,
me,
yeah,
it's not possible. So it's
yeah, yeah. Frank,
yeah,
now,
it's not a thing to have a bird.
sorry, I lost you for a moment.
No problem.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So, uh, now I would like to discuss something about pale fellows.
Yes,
I've seen you have beautiful pale fellows. You mentioned it in your tutorial as well, the one you have shared with me that I will paste in this interview later on. That uh, if we are talking about green pale fellow, it should have a tinge of green, not yellow color.
exactly.
So I
If
want
you
you to carry on with that, please, so that everybody would understand what you mean.
so for me, the perfect pale fallow is not the most yellow one. It's
Okay.
still, yeah, I don't know the right word for it in English, but you have a yellow bird with some green over it,
Yeah, yeah,
just like the primary wings. I
yeah,
see a lot of pale fallows with white primary wings.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
not correct. There should have been, there should have been a gray brownish shine on the primaries.
Okay,
So don't go too light in your pale fallow line.
okay.
There still have to be some green shining on it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So, what do you think, for example, if it is pale fellow, if it is pure green, if it is any bird you want to take? Suppose I want to start, or my audiences, some of them want to start now for making it a quality bird. What should they do? Should they buy from somebody and then carry on with it, or they can do it by themselves from basic bird? I think it would be a difficult job for anyone, but what would be your advice for it?
Oh, that's a tough question and a
Yes,
difficult one to answer,
that
but
is why we want to ask you the tough question.
you can buy good birds.
Yes.
That's really true. But I think you have to make a lot of combinations by yourself to make a top bird.
Okay.
And they always told me, and I still believe it, you can't buy a show bird. You have to breed it by yourself.
Okay.
But of course, you have to start with some quality birds, of course. And then if you have two ugly birds, as I say, you can't get any champions out of it. So that is impossible.
Yeah.
But you have to have a little standard of quality, and then you can start from that on. So it's important to trust the breeder from who you buy the birds, because I think there are a lot of people that are spending a lot of money and they don't get the bird they want, or the quality is not good enough. So be careful, I would say, and yeah, you have to start with a little bit of quality, of course, to get the show bird. But it's a long way.
It is really, trust me. I am trying to, make a line, but it is really difficult for me as well to comprehend how to go about it. That is why, I keep on knocking everybody's doors to learn from them how to produce a good showbird. It's another thing that one day I knock on Frank's door and I ask him that, you need to give me some birds, and then I leave. But, for the struggles part, I wanted to ask you. That is why I wanted to ask you, so that everybody would have some idea what do they have to do.
And I think also very important is to breed with a lot of mutations.
Okay.
Try to keep it good by documentation. Try some combinations, but not birds with. I always know when I do my combinations in a couple, I know exactly, okay, I put two birds together and that is possible. The offspring is possible, that or that, nothing more. But sometimes I see breeders with combinations, but you open the nest and then you see 5 or 6 different mutations in the nest, and then it becomes difficult, of course, because then you don't know, oh, is that split that combination, is it split or that, or it's yeah, you have to specialize. I think you have to specialize in some mutations, but it's impossible to do it all though.
Frank, I've seen your deck birds as well, and the same thing happened to me. I have a green Ewing split upline, split blue male, paired
Yes,
up with blue fisher, right?
yes,
And now, when I opened the nest, one was a green bird, then
yes.
one was a deck upline,
Mhm.
and I had one parblue in it and one green Ewing. So I was, I didn't know what to do,
That's
seriously.
yeah.
So,
That's yeah.
so that is why I wanted to ask you. And I've seen your interest in decks as well. So I want you to, and you were talking about the rumps, the color
Yes,
of the rumps of decks.
yes.
Sometimes the purple color or white rump. What do you mean by that? So that if you can,
Then I'm talking not about upline deck,
yeah, yeah,
because in upline deck there is no rump color. It's
yeah,
all yellow. But
yes,
if I talk about the rump color of a deck bird and then a pure deck, which is hard to find. I have my deck bird since 2007, I guess,
okay,
and the rump color of a pure deck bird is blue,
okay,
not white, because when it is white, it's a decino.
okay,
It's a little bit difficult to understand, but a pure deck, you have a 90% decline of the umilin in the body, or
okay.
85%. So there still has to be a little bit color on the rump.
Mhm. So the main thing is, Frank, I'm coming to your place and going to get hold of all the birds from you.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. Always welcome here. But yeah, it's
Okay.
it's yeah. Just tell me, yeah.
Yeah. Whenever you, I've seen your Aviary, you have kept your showbirds separately and the breeding birds separately. I want you to describe something to my audience and to me as well, obviously, so that we can learn what is the difference. Usually, whenever I talk to experts like you, they would say breeding birds are different than the showbirds, right? And if they are different, how do you produce them?
Yeah, that's I think the main reason is a showbird has to be perfect. That's why it is a showbird.
Yeah.
So, but you have to be careful also. If you put two really show birds that we call together, maybe the offspring is not good anymore because the head is too light or too dark. So you have to always get combinations of breeding birds, what I call, and they have good qualities of the head or the rump color, but they are not perfect for show because the rump color is not good or the head color is not good. And then you have to make matches. If a bird is not as good on the rump, you can put a bird next to it with a good rump color, and then you always get a combination of the two. And then that is why if you put two shorebirds together, maybe you get ugly offspring because there is too much of both birds in it. So you always have to make a combination of specifications of the birds.
So, correct me if I'm wrong. Uh, from whatever I get from your message, is that one should be excellent showbird, another should be a bit of an average bird, then you can produce quality, or
Yeah,
no?
that's possible. That's it's not 100% exactly, but yeah, I sometimes I use a bird that I can tell you a perfect head, but a small bird,
Okay,
and I put it against a very big female.
okay,
Maybe that is too big or too fat for show,
okay.
but the qualities of the little male in combination with the big quality of the female will make a good combination. So I think it's impossible. Yeah, always try to find the good things of the two birds.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, from what I gather from your from this discussion is you need to be extra observant while selecting your birds for your breeding, right?
Yes, that's yeah. Not everyone is good in it. You have to take care of your birds and always look at your birds and say, okay, maybe that is a good combination because that bird has that specification and that bird has that specification. So if you put it together, we have a perfect mix. So not everyone, not everyone has that gift to do, but you can learn it, I guess.